A new era dawns to fill the void. An unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encounter Cast. Interesting conflicts, not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncounterCast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encounter Cast. Thanks for joining us. Twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio starting at 1 p.m. Want to thank everyone for joining us today. And Nika for finally showing up. Thanks for being here.
Finally, I've missed 1 week.
We didn't even know if you were going to be here.
Yeah, no idea. Completely
Why
in the
wouldn't
dark.
I be here?
Because, I don't know.
Where would I be?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Where would I rather spend my time than here with you awesome people?
I mean,
Obviously at various conventions and or making cosplays
Yeah.
yeah, kind of.
I've never skipped the show to make a cosplay.
that we
But
know
if I'm
of.
allowed to do that, I mean,
No.
kidding.
Welcome to the show, twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, FinalEncounterCast.com. And we are on the big countdown. 7 more episodes until the end of Final Encounter Cast. And of course,
So sad.
when that happens, we will begin the Let's Be Real podcast. And that's exciting.
I'm almost proud.
Welcome. Oh, that's right. You're back in studio this week, so you
Yeah.
can hit drops.
Yeah.
Sad face.
Yeah.
Sad face.
Sad face.
Sad face.
Drops are the best.
I mean, depends.
When
You
they're-
have your days.
when
You have
they're
your
done
days
well.
when they're okay.
Okay.
No.
Then I guess just pout.
See, that
See, that
just
was a bad
doesn't-
one.
Yeah, that didn't work. But welcome back. I'm glad that you're. So are you gonna Juxstar or Chris, eater of foods? Are you gonna remember to take your drops with you?
No.
No,
No.
You're just gonna. So is that?
I'll just do it on the fly.
Is that my tombstone of whatever the fuck?
No, it's definitely mine.
Oh, okay. Well, they're still on there. It's not like I took them
Tombstone
off.
of Whatever the fuck.
Tombstone of
I don't even remember what those
Data.
are.
data.
Which one is that? Do we even
Oh.
know? Do we even remember?
Esoteric?
Do we care?
What was the red one? No.
Yeah, I don't.
Red and blue.
I don't remember.
It's the red and blue one.
There have been so many of them.
Does it matter?
No. Anyway,
It's not even the right show.
welcome to Final Encounter Cast. We appreciate you being along. If you want to give the show a call, we always invite your calls. Final Encounter Cast on Skype, 810-207-1764. You can also, if you want, I guess we'll take Discord call in too. If you know our Discord, it's limitbreakradio.com/Discord.
Call and talk to us.
Like there's no point in setting up a URL redirect at finalencountercast.com because we're just going to end up taking that website down. Eventually, just so you guys know, finalencountercast.com, all of that content is going to be over at lbrnetwork.com. So it's not like it's not like the archive is going anywhere. It's
Nika says cool, like she's going to go check it out.
by the way,
I'm trying to hype it up. Gosh damn.
we know that you're never going to actually ever go to the URL, so it's okay.
Why would I need to listen to myself again?
I don't know. Maybe for the shows
No,
that you
hold
aren't
on.
present on.
She has a point. I mean, I don't listen to her to begin with, so.
Oh, well.
Generally, you go to websites to, update the content, especially if you're a part of the production crew. But no,
that's
I
not-
don't.
that's
I
not
don't even
Nika.
know if I have
Yeah.
access to that.
You
Do I have access to
definitely
that?
do.
Guys, think of Nika more as like a subcontractor. She just shows up to the shows.
And then only sometimes. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, we'll get into the news here in just a hot second. And by the way, if you do want to call in, we're going to be talking about the Disney and 20th Century Fox merger. And I know that most comic book fans and MCU fans are really jizzing their jeans about this, but
I'm actually not.
I
Probably
have
not for the
some,
same
I have
reasons
some
you
words
are.
of caution here. So
How are you not excited about having Star Wars and Rilo Ken in Kingdom Hearts 3?
Rilo Ken.
I hope that Star Wars is in Kingdom Hearts 3.
I'd prefer King of the Hill in Kingdom Hearts 3.
That would be
Personally.
fucking awesome.
Kingdom
Oh my
of
god.
the Hill.
Yes.
Can that happen? Can that be a
Like
thing?
all the best fan art crossovers have always been of Kingdom Hearts.
Jesus Christ!
King of the
I
Hill.
need to see. I need to see the Kingdom Hearts version of Bobby Hill. I need that to happen.
Yes.
I need that to happen. Like, what would Bobby Hill look like as a JRPG character? You know what I mean?
He would just look like himself.
Like all of the Disney characters, he would just look like literally. No, but I want to see him in like a.
It would be all 2D and everything.
Like he needs to be wearing a long overcoat and it has to have 2 collars for some reason. You know what I mean? Like it's
And
got to
way
have
too many chains.
It's got to have that Square Enix feel to it. Yes, way too many chains.
all the chains.
What is with Square Enix and thinking that wallet chains are still a cool thing?
But they don't even have wallets on. They're just the chains.
No, yeah, I don't understand that. I have no idea what that is. I mean, Nika, you make the costumes. Can you explain what Square Enix's
Is there a hidden functionality?
preference for like the weird old like it wasn't
Hot
even
Topic.
It was like the Hot Topic
really
era
just
of
Nomura.
punk.
When Nomura gets a hold of the character development, or the character design, that's where the belts and chains come from.
And
It's
zippers.
mostly, and it's mostly not chains. It's mostly belts and
Zippers?
it's mostly belts and zippers.
Yeah, there's a lot of belts and zippers. You know who really likes that fashion sense? Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau loves that shit. You want to know why? Because when I met him, he was wearing, and I shit you not, at least 4 belts. It may have been more.
You actually got to meet him?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's
I have
cool.
a pair of underwear signed by Tommy
Oh
Wiseau.
my gosh. Yeah, there's actually a part in the Disaster Artist where they like he's like, do you have to wear all of these belts? And he's like, yeah, I do. You should watch that show. It's weird.
Who's Wiseau?
I don't know who this person is.
If you haven't watched The Room, then you're not going to have any. He's basically a guy that made the worst movie ever, but then it became a cult classic.
Michael Bay?
No, because Michael Bay makes money off of his movies.
Oh,
without
he's
them.
the worst movies ever.
Yeah.
He's multiple. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's oh my gosh. Whose underwear are they?
They're Tommy Wiseau brand underwear.
Oh, okay. And he signed them?
yes.
Why does he have underwear that's his own
Tommy
brand of
Wiseau
underwear?
brand underwear, and he signed.
Why does that exist though? Why does he have underwear?
Tommy Hilfiger.
Because he's the
underwear.
craziest brander.
Yeah, but
of
Tommy
every-
Hilfiger is a clothing designer.
here's
You just
the
said he's
weirdest
a
part. Here's the can I
movie
just real
person.
quick?
Can I
Here's
finish?
the weirdest.
Can I finish?
Here's
Can
the
I finish?
weirdest part about this pair of
that a
underwear.
pocket?
It is. There's a pocket on the inside of them
For hiding your drugs.
on the inside.
It's for change.
I mean,
For hiding your drugs.
I don't really.
Why would you
know what
put
it's
drugs in your underwear?
Keep your credit card close at hand.
It's for,
He wrote Nate, cool, Tommy Wiseau.
Oh my god, that is so Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, it is. Honestly, if you guys haven't watched The Disaster Artist, you should. It's one of those movies where at the end you have to remind yourself this happened.
Did you go and immediately watch The Room afterwards?
I haven't done that yet. Actually, what I did after watching The Disaster Artist was I just started reading stuff on Wikipedia about him.
That makes
for
sense.
like
that
an
makes sense.
hour.
That makes sense. No. I mean, like, that's the thing is that, like, Jen and I had this obsession with Tommy Wiseau.
Where did his money come from?
No one knows.
That's what I
No
wanna
one knows.
know.
No one fucking
That's
knows.
Clearly, his underwear brand clothing line.
No, that's like a whole nother
No,
movie
like,
unto itself.
The rumor is that he had a line on like bootleg jeans, and he sold bootleg jeans, and that's where a lot of his money came from.
What?
But that much money though?
Dude, it was the 80s. Bootleg jeans were like fucking
I don't
a
know.
big deal.
I don't know. I think that maybe he was part of some like Eastern European like mafia gang type deal or whatever, and that's why he.
Oh,
had to
he's like
leave.
some
Yeah.
sort of like eccentric Eastern European royalty.
Yeah.
Something like
See,
that.
that would
Like, he's-
explain it.
I don't know. The guy's legit as fucking weird in person as he is in any of the things. Like, and he's as clueless. He had no like. Dude, that movie is like true to life, as true to life as it could possibly be.
I'm socially awkward.
Yeah. See, that was a good drop, and you didn't even know it.
But you forgot to turn down the speakers. There you go. Good job. I
turned them down.
Yeah, I heard you just click them off. Good job.
I can click them back on.
No, I would.
I actually had to turn them on when I was doing that stuff. Before.
Oh, it's this asshole's fault.
Got him.
So, anyway, but Nika, the reason that actually you weren't here last week was because you were out at MagFest.
I was.
How was it?
It was probably one of the best MagFests that I've ever been to.
Why?
Can you go back? Like
Wait,
right now.
wait.
And every week after,
Shut up, Chris.
just
you're a
go
jerk.
there and stay.
Okay, so why was it one of the best MagFests ever?
Well, for me, conventions in general are mostly about friends, and I was able to hang out and see so many different people. I went to I think the most concerts I've ever went to at a MagFest, and that's really the most fun part of it.
Who'd you go see?
Oh gosh, so many people. I always see the Triforce Quartet. I don't know if you know who they are, but they are like a string quartet, like violin, cello, viola.
Nice.
They are the best.
Do they do all Zelda stuff then?
They don't do all the stuff.
Okay.
That's just how they started, I guess. I went and saw this band called Kirby's Dream Band.
No, I've heard of them. They're
name.
fucking
They're
awesome.
hilarious. Every single song, they have a different hat that goes with the songs that they're playing.
No shit. All right,
And
that's cool.
they played a Final Fantasy 5 song, which blew my mind, and they had a big X'd out hat on. It was cool. And they dropped a whole bunch of balloons from the ceiling and the second song, and so the entire concert, people were there's thousands of balloons smacking each other, and it was really hard to move, but. MagFest is it's the best. I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that play out there that I've wanted to see for a long time.
You would love MagFest. Everything about it is you.
I know, and I've been meaning to go for
But wait, hold on. But
it just falls at such an awkward time of the year.
It's the first weekend of the year usually.
Yeah.
You enjoy MagFest though. Nate hates fun.
Actually, I think the
does
most
not compute.
interesting thing I went to this year. Have you guys know the channel Siva Gunner on YouTube?
I don't think so.
No.
So they are this hilarious YouTube channel where they basically take songs and they claim that they upload high quality game rips, but really it's the song but twisted and becomes inside jokes and other stupid songs, and they're really hilarious.
So audio memes?
Basically, yes. And so they actually had a panel at MagFest. So now the whole kind of mystery of the channel has been a little bit unraveled in my brain, because now I know what the guys look like behind the channel. But it was really interesting to see how they take apart songs and make the different mashups that they do. And I thought that was pretty cool too.
Nice.
Interesting.
That's
I'm
awesome.
surprised you hasn't heard of that channel. It's hilarious.
No, I've not come across that before.
I don't do a whole lot of YouTube surfing.
Yeah, me neither.
If there's something specific I'm going to look for, that's one thing. But yeah,
I get sucked into YouTube holes.
So actually, it is kind of weird that you maybe haven't, but you always end up on the weird sites. Maybe that's why.
I do.
I
don't know.
Like
you know
the
what?
really weird side.
Well, I mean, recently, here's the thing, and I realize this, is that YouTube's algorithm will keep throwing you into the same shit that you're already watching, right?
Except for one or two.
Sometimes.
Most of the time, except for if you leave it playing for tons of hours. You know what I mean? But I'll watch one thing on accident, and then suddenly it's generated into my recommended list all the time.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm sucked into that weird YouTube hole. So recently, all I've been listening to or watching on YouTube, it seems is the Jim Cornette Experience and weird wrestling podcasts, because I was really into this wrestling podcast called OSW, and basically what they do, it's a YouTube podcast. I think they're also on iTunes, but it's mostly a YouTube podcast where they go through old wrestling pay-per-views and kind of do summaries and commentary on it, and it's a little bit like Mystery Science Theater 3000, but for old wrestling pay-per-views.
Okay.
And it's hilarious. These guys are just three Irish dudes, and
oh great,
they're fucking they're filthy and foul, and their jokes are terrible, and I fucking love them. And so I got sucked into that, and so because of that, now everything in my recommended list is just a fucking wrestling video. And I'm like, dude, and now I have to consciously search for shit and go and watch shit that I used to watch to try to get it to populate in my recommended list.
Skuro's wondering who's responsible for the LBR getting recommended top 10 anime waifus you can't live without.
I don't know, but they're going to be really surprised when they click on that content. That's for damn sure.
Can I give a shout out to you? I would like to shout out to is it Yuki Filibuster or Filibuster, whatever his name is in our link shell, because he came up and said hi to me at MagFest. So
that's what's
shout
up
out to Yuki.
That's
He's apparently
what's up.
a friend of a friend. Small world.
That's cool. That's what's up.
Yep.
And then yesterday, I was also at a pretty cool event, and we'll talk about it's also kind of tangentially related to video game music. We'll talk about it if we get some extra time. But I feel like we've burned a lot of time before we've even gotten into the news. And what an interesting sound that was. So
I have no clue. Nothing popped up on my computer screens.
So we're gonna have to do something about that.
I think a tab just maybe needs to be muted.
That may have.
What happens? Did you guys just have a beep on yours?
Yeah,
It was
like a Windows sound.
Yeah, I know I got one, but I don't know why you guys would have heard it unless you guys. It was an update thing, so one of your computers might have also gotten that. It was like, we're gonna restart soon, and I was like, no, you're not.
Oh yeah, no. Click over to the other computer and make sure that it doesn't do that. If that's what that is.
Oh, the other screen.
Yeah, let's make sure that doesn't happen. Anyway, so we do have a caller on the line we're going to get to here in a hot second. Juxta, is that person ready to go?
Yeah, they're online.
All right, let's go to our phone lines before we get into the news and talk to Brian, who wants to talk about classic games. What's up, Brian? Brian.
Rip.
Brian.
I think we lost. I think we may have lost Brian.
Are you
He hung up now.
Oh,
he just hung up.
Oh, Brian. Well, call back if you want to talk about classic
Kooky
games.
said that he's probably a troll.
I know. See, why did you spoil it? Now he knows we're on to him.
That's why he hung up.
I was trying to.
Okay, but he wasn't going to give us anything, so why bother?
But I had a troll on the line. I was troll fishing, man. Come on.
Cast that line back out there.
Come on. Listen, if you'd like to give us a call and talk about classic games, what your favorite anime waifu is, I don't know, the material that you jack off to, whatever you want to talk about, give us a call. Final Encounter Cast 810-207-1764. Let's just reel that line in very, very slowly.
I'm afraid we're going to get some of our actual anime people who aren't going to troll us wanting to talk about their
No.
waifus.
Yeah, listen, that's troll bait, guys. Don't
fall for it.
Don't take the bait, because if you take the bait, we're gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt.
So save yourself, Ryoku.
Who's your
Trust
anime
me.
waifu? I'm sure you have one.
Trust me.
It's Kylie from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. She's
Punch him.
She's from Obelisk Blue.
Punch him. I want you to take
she's very
punch him.
Stop it. You're done.
I knew you have one.
Anyway, so listen, we've got a girl on the show, so listen, we got to be nice to her, and we got to try to white knight her. So, if you call the show, make sure that you're super respectful and that you use all the nice words. Come on, guys.
So nice
Come
words. Much nice. So wow.
Come on, I'm chumming the waters. Let's go. Huh?
Are you a gerbil?
Have you never been fishing before?
This guy has never touched a fishing rod in his life. Look at him. Look at him.
My rod's big enough for any fishing.
Oh.
Boo. Boo. All right, let's check out and see what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
So, President Trump caused a stir this week.
That's different from any other.
Really?
Right, yeah.
Did he?
Thanks, Callie. He announced the delivery of an F-52 fighter jet to Norway. The problem? The F-52 only exists in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. In all likelihood, he probably announced a delivery of F-30 or 52 F-35s. But yeah, good.
Okay, in
job.
Trump's defense, he probably doesn't know that the 52 exists in Call of Duty either.
No, he probably doesn't. It was just
no idea.
One big coincidence. It's just nice to be able to laugh at one of his mistakes instead of look at it and be like, oh, shit, this is the world we live in.
Yeah. This is sort of the first one that is a little bit more lighthearted. Like, ha, look at, he made a mistake and accidentally referenced a video game.
He can't say nuclear.
I was just thinking about that, yeah. So, despite being nearly 3 decades old, Tetris is still a commonly played speedrunning game with records still being broken and set. Jonas Neubauer was hard at work on his stream the other day trying to break his record for clearing 100 lines when he quite by accident set another record. In 1 minute and 58 seconds, he scored over 300,000 points, becoming the first player ever to do so in under 2 minutes.
Wow.
What a bad. Because 100 lines is a personal goal. Like, that's actually not very many. So, like, to think about that, he was just trying to break a very casual goal and then ended up breaking a world record.
How fast must he be
pretty
playing
impressive.
Tetris, though, to do that in under 2 minutes?
Very.
I can't even imagine.
Extremely. I mean, I don't know what
I like when I try to visualize it in my head. It doesn't seem like it should be humanly possible.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure he was trying to clear his record for clearing 100 lines, not to clear 100 lines.
Right. Yeah.
For Nika's benefit.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, what's the difference between what
He
you
wasn't just trying to do it, period. He was trying to see how fast he could do it.
Oh, I see.
I'm sure he's cleared 100 lines before.
If he's accidentally setting world records.
Gotcha. I was going to say, like, when I read that, I was like, clearing 100 lines is not that hard.
Nika's like, I can do that. I'll do
I
it
can't
right
clear
now on
100
my
lines,
phone.
But I was wondering, like, yeah, okay. That makes a lot more sense because the article that I read about it wasn't worded like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of weird Tetris news, a woman in Florida is planning to marry the game Tetris. She claims to enjoy a fulfilling, intimate relationship with the game, though the relationship rose out of the ashes of her previous relationship with her calculator named Pierre.
Okay.
Are you sure this isn't like a troll article that somehow made it on the news?
No, this is not. Yeah, this is not a troll article.
Metro.co.uk.
Yeah, no, this is a thing. Yeah. So
I don't know. Something about this story just doesn't add up.
Don't you steal my joke!
It was bad when he made it. I don't know why you would make it too. Listen, the thing about this is,
I thought it would multiply in hilarity.
Is this not? Oh my god!
That wasn't even funny bad. That was just that was Lloyd bad.
I just want you gotta you have go away heat with me right now. You need to just
look
that's
at this.
Just anger.
You're dividing us from each other. That was another math joke. Divide.
After a scally, we can't take any more subtractions.
Fucking hate you. This is terrible.
I believe you had a point, Aniro.
Stop it.
This is like the sum of all his fears.
I'd have to say the average pun has gone up in this room.
Can we get to the root of the problem here?
Oh my god.
I fear we've caused a sin.
Are you done?
I think this tangent's over.
Oh my god.
Nika, do you have an addition you'd like to make?
No, I don't.
She's not even laughing. Oh.
But if a Pokemon looks like Trump,
then it's over. My God. Listen, the thing is this not the same extension that fucking people have with anime characters and being sexually attracted to a video game character or things that don't exist, right?
Video game characters may not exist, but at least they have boobs and stuff. This is just
they'd have a vagina. They'd have a vagina, presumably.
Allegedly.
How
do you? First of all, okay, she's gonna marry an inanimate object. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't.
But
you can't marry same sex, but you can marry fucking calculators.
Isn't this isn't a fucking anime character or a thing that exists only in your mind? Isn't that the same sort of thing? Isn't that the same sort of I feel like this is way closer to being attracted to things that don't exist, than it is to.
No, they have holograms now in Japan.
Well, I mean, but how people have attractions to stuffed animals, which really, if you think about furries, is just sort of an extension of that.
Weird,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how is this not exactly the same thing? I mean, it's like no matter which way you slice it, it's fucked up. But like this is the same problem that I have when people are like, "Oh, that video game character is so hot." Like somebody dressed as that video game character.
Well, and I think, and this is just,
but someone dressed as a Tetris box isn't.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would do it for this girl. I have no idea.
I've always assumed that when people fantasize about fictional characters, that in their mind, like when they're picturing them, they're like real people, right? Like if it's an anime character, you're not imagining yourself making out with like a 2D being, right? But with a calculator, it's just a calculator.
She clearly has something like miswired in her brain that she's attracted to, like digital technological things.
I mean, you can spell boobs on a calculator, but
you can.
Kind of hot.
You can probably spell boobs with Tetris pieces too.
I mean, it's the same thing that was explored in that movie Her, right? That
was a weird movie.
But is this not the exact same fucking thing? You are applying a more of a, I mean, and the thing is with Her, and at least with characters, there's a personality that you're at least pulling threads out of and then working that into your fantasy. This is just like assigning a personality to a thing. And I mean, it's the same extension of fantasy that we have from when we're kids and we're like, you know, playing with toys. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this character is this and this character is that. And then they make out.
And you know, the weirdest thing about it is how apparently the relationship with the calculator went up in flames.
Did she light the calculator on fire?
Well, no, I'm just saying because
that's murder. Because if she lit her calculator on fire, that's murder.
It said that this relationship with Tetris rose from the ashes of her failed relationship with the calculator.
Well,
this is what happens. You divide by zero.
She needs to be investigated for calculator murder.
Nika laughs at the dividing by zero joke, but not at any of the puns.
Nika, you're terrible.
Boo.
Everything about you is terrible.
I know.
Niantic has announced it will be ending support for specific Apple devices, specifically those that are unable to make the upgrade to iOS 11. The change is a result of updates to the game that push its requirements beyond what the older operating systems can provide. The change will take effect on February 28th of this year.
Get owned!
Womp, womp, womp.
The old
no iPhone limitations going on.
Pores get out.
The iPhone couldn't handle Whale Lord.
Really?
No, I'm just.
I was like, maybe there was something about his coding that wasn't working out.
I mean, the character model is insane.
Have you actually seen it before? Like how big it is?
I still haven't. Not yet. I want to see it in a gym or something.
Let's say Whalmer himself is already pretty big.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, like other character models are fucking huge. Like the Kyogre character model. Yeah, Groudon, Kyogre are both fucking massive.
I hope they put Wailord in a raid specifically. Oh man,
I'm gonna play like as soon as I get in those 400 Whalmer candies, I'm gonna put them in every gym that I possibly can.
Are you walking him?
No.
Fuck
no. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? I need to get no, but I do need to get a Phoebus. I still have not gotten a Phoebus.
I haven't seen him either.
Because although I did have 3 Lotads up at one time.
I finally got a Lotad the other day.
That was one that I was like, I don't know if that has special spawn requirements or something, but yeah,
it was a special weather, I think, when I caught him.
Maybe he's weather only. I mean, that was one of the.
I caught one the other day when I was here too, but I didn't pay attention to what the weather was.
Yeah, that may be weather only. I mean, that would be a pretty good gimmick if that's what the gimmick was.
Yeah, I agree.
For Lotad.
So there was also another announcement that Pokemon Go made. They're going to start doing what they're calling community events. This is going to be happening once a month for a very small 3-hour period. Each month, a specific Pokemon will spawn with a move set that you can otherwise not obtain. So, for example, the very first one is going to be Pikachu with Surf.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, Pikachu is Surf.
Yeah, like
first of all, when do you actually use Pikachu? Right now,
it's cool for collection purposes.
For collecting, sure. Like on its face,
we haven't had like a new Pikachu yet that's special.
Oh my god, I know, right?
On its face, I think that this does present some problems. Like, first of all, if you evolve the Pikachu, does it still retain Surf, or does it lose it at that point? You would think so, right? But I think it also does.
I think it should put it into its TM pool, right? Like, You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. So that way, if you could get it back.
Yeah, if you lose
somehow.
it, you can
maybe
you can hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
But think about going forward. Like obviously, it's only going to be happening 12 times a year, right? But they could put some really cool and interesting ones in there with some really awesome abilities. I hope they're not always just shitty ones like Pikachu. But imagine getting like a Tyranitar with a new type of moveset or something.
I mean, that might not be a bad thing.
Because I know some of the best attack movesets for some Pokemon are Legacy now, and you could only have gotten them on the original releases. So they could easily go back to some of those too, and people are going to really want those.
That's true.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it only happens for one day out of the month for like a 3-hour window too. And,
interesting.
They're planning it for Saturdays, obviously, so people hopefully won't be in work or whatnot. But
so hopefully, you poors who have retail jobs can ask for that day off.
Or if we're at the retail job, just check it while we're there.
I'm really mad that they make Mewtwo raids at like 1 p.m. instead of at times where people can actually go.
Mewtwo raids are just terrible all around.
I suckered Surin into taking my phone to a raid while I was at work and getting me Mewtwo.
Yeah, I saw.
Jesus, what?
Nika,
how does he have that kind of time?
Why does he?
How does anyone have that kind of time?
Well, because his school was canceled because of water damage from over break. There was his entire school was flooded, so he had school off. So.
Senpai deserves so much better.
Right?
Yeah. A new Mario Tennis will be releasing this year, and it's going to be exclusive to the Switch. Mario Tennis Aces is slated for spring 2018, marking the first installment since Mario Tennis Ultra Smash on the Wii U.
Oh, well, the last tennis game that I played was Virtual. The Virtual Boy Mario Tennis.
The last tennis I played was Mario Tennis on the 64.
Game Boy Color, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game. I couldn't beat it. It was really hard.
Speaking of the Virtual Boy, do you want to tell a little story about that?
I mean, I could just
go and get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the story then.
Well, no, there's a little bit more to it. We on Checkpoint, we finally played What's in the Box. It was actually a bag where we pulled random things out. No, it wasn't even a box. It was a bag.
Well, that's a misnomer.
Yeah. So
I was hoping for a box.
Ascalia pulls out the Virtual Boy and blah 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 whatever. Anyway, they think, let's turn it on. Let's see if it works. It does. It still works.
Okay.
You want to play the Virtual Boy?
Is that the story?
Yeah, Wario Land's in there. Play the Virtual Boy.
I mean, okay. I like video games. Well, I don't. Why?
I think there's more to the story.
No, that's it. That's the story. The Virtual Boy still works.
I mean, that's not.
How is that a
weird?
story?
I know a lot of old systems that still work.
Play
it. I figure it's going to be something like there's semen all over it, but you can't say that on Checkpoint. So
play it.
Wait a minute. Going to connect it to the story. Mario Tennis. Boom. Got it.
Play Mario Tennis for us.
All right.
While we talk about the rest of the show.
So
you planning on getting this for your Switch?
I might
do a little bit of workout. You remember the time that we played Mario and Sonic?
This isn't the Wii. You don't get up and play anymore.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and you drank too much and ended up in the shower fully clothed.
At college?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
There was an apple.
What I want is games like Mario Kart for the Switch that's not the same exact version that was on the fucking Wii U. Give me a new Mario Kart that's Switch exclusive, and I'll buy one.
It's not working. It's Nintendoing. There's a whole bunch of red lines.
That's the Virtual Boy.
No, but they don't mean anything. It's just red lines.
But I hear it.
Well, yeah, you hear it, but it doesn't work.
He broke your Virtual Boy.
It's just a bunch of horizontal red lines.
He broke your
Press
Virtual
a
Boy.
button.
Oh.
I think one of the sides works.
Oh. No.
One of the eyes works, and the other one does not.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
I can hear. Why can I hear it?
Right? That's so weird.
I didn't know.
One eye does not work at all, and the other eye is just a bunch of lines that's gibberish.
Maybe that's just the tennis field.
Well, you got to take it out and blow on the cartridge.
Blow it.
No one's used this cartridge in fucking 15 years.
You guys are running me. I can tell. There's something wrong, and I'm not doing it.
Like we blacked out the eyes, right? And he's gonna come back with raccoon eyes or something.
I can check in the.
You're not. You're a Nintendo fanboy. That's a relic. That's rare.
Well, yeah,
it's
for
like the
retards.
Holy Grail.
It's terrible.
Why can I hear it?
Because it's playing. It just.
I know, but I didn't think that there was a speaker in the Virtual Boy.
Well, how else would you be able to play it?
There's a fucking headphone jack.
Oh. This girl wants me to put my mouth on it.
Of course he would.
Okay, moving on. Moving on. So, speaking of releases for the Switch, we've finally gotten confirmation of the rumors that were swirling last year that Dark Souls would be seeing a remaster. The punishing 2011 action RPG will be remastered and include the Artorias DLC as it releases for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and the Switch. Currently, the release date is as May 25th, 2018.
Yeah!
I know that.
Are you actually excited about this?
Nate's a little excited about this.
I'm all kinds of excited about this.
Whenever someone ports a game that was on a good game from an old system onto a Nintendo system, it always works out horribly.
Here's the thing, though, is that it's getting a full fucking remaster, and the Switch. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Nintendo, being Nintendo, thinks that their way of thinking is the only way of thinking, and that their architecture has, of course, got to be the best architecture. But that's not what the Switch runs off of. The Switch runs off of something more, it can run Unity. It can run Unreal 4. So you don't actually have to do that much to make it work. You just have to make it work with the Switch control scheme.
Oh.
That's what's interesting about ports these days. And how easy is it to make a PC port? Because everything is it's working off of the same architecture. Before, in previous generations of consoles, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo all had separate architectures for the way that their system worked. Go all the way back to the PS2. It was actually a chore to take things and make it convert between the PS2 and PC and Xbox. But now it's really easy. Now you just have to adapt the control scheme and make sure that it's tuned for the hardware.
It's also, I think, the reason why you see less exclusives, because before it benefited the companies more to have them, pay you for an exclusive, and now it benefits you more to just port it to everything and get more money that way. Google has made a massive investment in mobile esports, dropping $120 million into the Chinese company Chusho. The company's mobile esports streaming platform currently boasts over 8 million streamers and 250,000 live streams every day. The move is made in hopes of giving Google inroads into China, where their search engine is blocked. On the other hand, the Chinese firm is hopeful that the deal will expand to its services to viewers overseas.
I mean, but that assumes that mobile esports is going to become a really big deal.
Well,
I know
it's kind of 50-50.
We talked about that this week on Checkpoint Radio. And by the way, stay tuned. That's coming up at about 6 o'clock tonight here on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. We'll have this week's Checkpoint Radio for you. But yeah, that I still don't buy that mobile esports are going to end up becoming a thing. Even though at CES, Razer showed off this new laptop that is basically powered by your phone.
Oh, I saw that commercial for that.
Isn't
I was
that
like, what?
Crazy?
And then some companies coming out with a phone that's a gaming phone.
Yes.
Wow.
Huh.
And I'm
specifically for shit like this.
Well, I think there's a few things to keep in mind here. First of all, remember that Hearthstone is considered a mobile esport, right? And Hearthstone is decent size.
Except you can play it on a PC.
Yes, you can. That's true. So
I don't know, dude. I don't think that meets the requirements. Hearthstone is a digital card game. It is also an esport. That does not make it inherently a mobile esport. Because what I consider an inherently mobile esport is something you cannot access on a PC.
What about a tablet? Are tablets okay?
Tablets are fine. That still makes it a mobile esport because you've still got the touchscreen controls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like.
So is Splatoon 2 on the Switch a mobile esport?
Because you can move around with this.
Yeah, because the Switch is a tablet.
But the Switch is also a console that can plug into a television.
Yeah, no, that's not the same thing. The Switch is not the same thing. You have to control. It has to be like. It has to only have on-screen controls.
To be mobile?
I think to be considered a mobile esport, yeah. I don't know that Splatoon honestly counts as an esport. I don't think it qualifies.
What about ARMS?
But if there was something specifically on like a 3DS or Vita, would that count as a mobile esport?
I fucking hate you, Chris.
Is Pokemon a mobile esport? It's not console.
Esport.
That's on a console.
It's a mobile game. No,
It's
you
on
mean like
3DS.
Pokemon?
It's on a handheld.
Yeah, it's on a handheld.
But I mean, you guess you do compete with other people.
But no. What he's saying though is when we think of mobile gaming, we do specifically think
Phones.
of phones.
Right.
Yeah.
Phones and tablets, okay? So you can't access it on a PC. That's a big deal because if you can play it with a keyboard and mouse setup, then it makes it kind of indistinguishable from an esport.
Here's the
what makes a mobile esport is that you have to play it on a mobile device and you have to deal with all of the constraints that control scheme has with it.
But at our age, I feel like that's starting to become a little bit skewed because we've talked about the idea of
course it's skewed. We're way past the point where we can adapt to shit like that.
When we look at mobile esports, you're right, that's all we think of. Freaking Temple Run or Vanguard or whatever. It has to be on the phone. But going forward, Chris is still absolutely right. Anything that's on the Switch, if you can take it out of your house, that is mobile gaming now. We're going to start getting to the point where, like you said, a freaking phone that's a gaming phone or a phone that can power your laptop. Like, we're going to start getting to the point where mobile gaming doesn't have to be all touchscreens, where you can plug in a controller
Then it transcends from being a mobile game to being an actual fucking video game.
If it has a physical controller?
Yes.
That's the requirement?
There's kind of, yeah, I think that there's a difference because it all has to do with the control scheme. It all has to do with the way that you interact with the game.
I can agree to that,
right? Okay, so a mobile I don't think Hearthstone meets the definition then.
No, because that was actually built on the desktop first, and then it was ported to mobile shit. So.
Not just that, but I mean, by definition, I think it's way more a digital card game than it is anything else. Like before it's an app, it's or even before it's considered an esport or a video game, like if you took and you printed all of that shit on fucking cards, it would still work, right?
More or less.
Yeah, so it's a digital card game. It's different from Vainglory. Vainglory plays entirely different from Hearthstone. I don't think that the two are comparable, is my point.
Yeah, right. No, they're not. Well, a lot of esports sometimes aren't, so
well, but that's the thing. I don't think that Hearthstone meets the qualification to say that it's a mobile esport. If we're going to look at the success or failure of mobile esports moving forward, we've got to be looking at things like Vainglory. Right?
Tower defenses.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that Hearthstone could be mobile. I've only noticed people playing on PC. So like I feel like if its PC visibility is that strong, that it doesn't count as mobile.
Tablets and phones
or Clash Royale. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit is what sort of defines it because those games play fundamentally differently. I mean, a lot of the control schemes are simplified to be able to compensate for the fact that you're on a mobile device. So the skill set for winning at something like Vainglory versus the skill set at winning at something like Dota 2, vastly different skill sets.
Yeah, definitely.
Vastly different. So that's why I say that I just don't see mobile esports being, taking that much of a foothold.
It has to evolve a lot further than it is right now. And with the forward momentum that actual esports has right now, you're right. I don't think that it's going to penetrate, at least not the global market. With Japan trying to make changes to start getting into the esports scene, I could see mobile gaming maybe starting to take hold there in the same way that esports originally did in Korea before it started to catch on. But I think that we're still years and years off of it evolving into anything close to what we see with actual esports.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, to put out there that like, oh yeah, 2018 is going to be the year of mobile esports.
No.
Stop it.
Come on now. Although the technology would suggest that might be possible.
Okay, I could see that maybe we have the technology for it, but it goes way beyond technology.
No, I agree.
No,
I agree.
In fact,
sentiment has way more to do with
I would say that Mad Catz would make a comeback before mobile esports does.
Fair enough.
And a year after it looked like the end for Mad Catz, they have emerged from their bankruptcy and are returning to the gaming accessory market. Now based out of Hong Kong, the company had a large... Based out of Hong Kong.
Hong Kong!
The company had a large presence at this year's Consumer Electronics Show and had already shown off some of their upcoming tech. One standout is a wireless mouse with a mouse pad that charges the mouse as you use it.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh, it doesn't?
No. How can you use something and then have it charged at the same time?
Science.
Is it,
the same way you can like have your phone plugged in but also be using it.
Yeah.
Or your controller plugged in but also be using it.
So are you plugged? You said it was a wireless mouse?
Yeah. So just by look, there's all kinds of phones right now where you just like set them on the dock.
You
and
set it on top of the
them.
dock. Yeah. So if the mouse pad
necromancy. I don't
a
believe in
digital
it.
technological dock for the
I guess
mouse.
it is kind of digital necromancy, isn't it?
It has to have a cord to charge, otherwise you're dipping into arcane arts that you don't understand.
There's already phones that you don't.
And apparently it's arcane arts that you don't understand, Nika. Can you tell us how that works?
Yeah. I mean, my phone has built-in wireless charging.
I understand. I'm saying he doesn't understand.
Right, explain it to us.
Yeah, how does it work, Nika?
Tell us the science behind it.
I don't know.
Tell us the dark.
I'm sure it uses some kind of like wireless Bluetooth bullshit. I don't know.
I don't think that's how Bluetooth works.
I don't know.
Bluetooth sends data.
They have to be able to communicate so that it's aware. There's sensors and stuff. That's
you see, you don't understand. Nobody knows how this shit works.
Okay,
all right?
The point is though,
Somebody knows how it works.
You're
Chris.
gaining
Somebody
charge. You have to have like electricity going into it, and you don't have electricity going into it. So how does it work?
It teleports the electricity.
Yeah, you see, you can't explain it.
Listen,
this is satanic work, and I know
there's a lot. There's a lot of technology I can't explain. I saw a guy spray paint a battery on and then operate a fucking Raspberry Pi off of it.
Off a spray painted battery?
There's battery paint.
That's weird.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, this actually looks really, really good. If you would have shown me this and not mentioned Mad Catz at all, never in a million years would I have ever thought that this would be like a piece of Mad Catz tech.
The thing is that like why even keep the Mad Catz name?
Well,
I feel like there's more baggage with the Mad Catz name than there is like.
But people recognize it. I feel like if you try to come out of nowhere with a brand new name, where they
they recognize it in a way that's different.
Yeah, that's not necessarily good.
Yeah, it's different from like when we think of GameStop or on Checkpoint you mentioned EB Games, right? When we think of those, we think of like bad customer service, just bad service in general, like evil corporations. Mad Catz made stuff and it was dumb stuff, but I think we look back on them in sort of a silly way more than anything else. So honestly,
I don't know.
Maybe a nostalgic
no,
way.
Fuck that. You clearly never owned a Mad Catz controller.
Oh, crap.
No, they were really shitty.
When you have,
they were the most infuriating part of growing up in the 90s.
When you have family members who know nothing about games, they go after the Mad Catz stuff because it looks cool and it's cheaper. I had plenty of Mad Catz shit, okay? But here's the thing. When I see this
how often did you use it?
I didn't because they were shitty.
Exactly.
But when I see this headline, I think, oh, no fucking way, Mad Catz, are you serious? Because it was a fucking joke. But when you look at it now, it's such night and day that it's like, wow, maybe somebody's going to turn them around. And if not, then they're going to go right back into bankruptcy.
I don't know about that. I do not know about that. See, I think that, you know, in this day and age of like Razer and Steel Series and, you know, there's so many good gaming, high-end gaming peripherals that it's like, even if you come in with Mad Catz, even if you start something new, you've got a big hill to climb either way.
You do, yeah. That's not.
And if you're making good shit, like good shit will rise to the top. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like there's baggage with Mad Catz.
Right, well,
like the product might be great. The product may work. It may be awesome. But the thing is that like because it's Mad Catz, I'm less likely to check it out.
That may be, but as you just said, if your product is good, it'll eventually rise to the top.
I mean, I guess.
He said if your shit was good. He didn't say anything about products.
Whatever. Square Enix is bringing another Final Fantasy game to the PC, this time announcing the FF12 remaster will be making its way over.
Yay.
Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age will be launching on Steam on February 1st and will feature the option for 60 frames per second as well as compatibility for 2119 ultra-wide monitors. And because it's Square Enix, there's a collector's edition for $150, which includes all of the components of the PS4 collector's edition, but with a download code instead of the physical copy of the game.
Yeah.
I hate when you like buy an entire physical copy expecting to get the game and put it on your shelf all pretty and then it just comes with a code.
You do realize that any game with a day one DLC, you're downloading the full fucking game. That disc that you just bought has nothing on it. You may have just bought a download code.
When I bought Mass Effect Andromeda, I purposefully bought the physical copy so that I could put the case on my shelf with my other Mass Effect games as like the whole collection. And it showed up. And I ended up having to wait a couple days to play it after the release because I didn't want to download it. I wanted to have the physical disc. I open it, and there is no disc. There's just a code in the case that says, here's your download code. And I was like, what the fuck? I wanted the physical disc just for collector's purposes, but I don't think a physical disc even exists.
Owned.
Like, can you imagine?
So stupid.
What other, can you imagine if you bought an album and you opened up the album and it goes, here's your download code. And
go to
like,
iTunes.
The fuck? Like, it better be there on top of the product that I already bought, right? Like, if there's a CD and a download code, cool. Excellent. Yeah. But if you're just giving me a download code, oh my fucking God, why did I waste my time getting in my car, driving to wherever the fuck I drove to be able to buy it, take it home, and take it out of the fucking package?
Exactly.
Why did I do
mad about
any
Andromeda?
of that?
I could have played it like 3 days earlier.
And
but
yet,
I didn't.
It's still the exact same price, even though they're finding more ways to cut costs.
That's fucking infuriating because that's basically saying, like, just go and get it digitally. Just go get it digitally.
I think
Save yourself the trouble.
They're trying to phase out the brick and mortar copies, and I feel like, I mean, once enough people are like, well, every time I buy this, I just get a case, they'll just eventually stop doing it.
But still sell collector's editions.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's a concerted effort to, like, stomp out and drown GameStop.
It's working.
I mean,
walk into a GameStop, like, more than 50% of their store is merchandise.
Yeah, it's all collectible stuff now.
Yeah, that's
some of it's pretty cool.
I feel more inclined. It's more often that I see something and go, oh, I want to buy that, than I do any game in there at all.
It's more like a Spencer's Gifts theme for video games.
Or a Hot Topic even,
I can get behind that.
It's not the worst thing.
I enjoy going in there, and like their merchandise, some of it's pretty cool.
I kind of wish they had more like apparel, like, shirts.
Yeah, their t-shirts really suck.
Yeah, their t-shirts are awful.
They've got a bunch of pop figures and other cool collectibles, but the t-shirts are bad.
No, they need to
downsize the pop figure stuff.
They need to broker a deal with like Mustard Brand.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, get some like high-end apparel in there.
Well, because did they partner with or did they buy out ThinkGeek, or was it the other way around? I remember we covered that story once. Because that's the majority of the stuff that they have now is from ThinkGeek.
Yeah, they share the same stuff now.
Yeah.
One of the two bought the other one. I don't know which it is, but
probably GameStop because it's bigger than.
I'd assume GameStop bought ThinkGeek.
Yeah,
I thought it was Spencer's Gifts that bought ThinkGeek.
No, I know a lot of stuff I buy from GameStop has ThinkGeek's logo in the bottom.
I mean, that could also be, and they partnered up somehow. I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
All right,
I know it was GameStop.
We're
Google.
We're gonna end this news on kind of a low note. We're sad to report that a 28-year-old gamer in California this week got so angry with the game he was playing that he threw a fit, broke his headset, blamed his mother, and then found a gun and shot her. 68-year-old Lydia Nicholson was shot and killed by her son Matthew following an argument that stemmed from a video game. He would have also killed his father, but the gun jammed.
Jesus Christ.
He basically threw this huge fit over the article didn't mention what game, threw his headset, broke it. She heard this shouting. Cops had been called to the residence before in previous months, so this isn't like anger issue type deal. She came in to basically find out what was wrong, make sure he was okay, and that's when he blamed her for breaking his headset or for making him angry, and there happened to be a gun in the house, and he made good on his promise.
Jesus.
That's grim.
Yeah. Now, the fact that there's history in this household of this type of stuff, I hate that this is headlined as, guy kills mom over video games.
Because it seems like that was just the final straw.
That was one of the catalysts, but this dude had anger issues.
Yeah, like deep-seated issues.
Guy was messed up. It's terrible to see stuff like this. I guess, and actually, in a way, I'm glad that maybe it didn't say what the title of the game is. That way it can't be like, it's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Murder simulators.
Grand Theft Auto. Clearly this is
yeah.
I mean, there's enough of that. But I mean, that is definitely sad. And I mean, it's just awful. And I mean, like, it serves, I think, as a lesson to just like, yeah, we all get We all get fucking into gaming and we all get competitive, but just like to keep your fucking shit in check.
Yeah. There was actually also an update to the swatting story that we briefly covered. The guy, Tyler, whatever his name was, they're charging him with first-degree manslaughter and misuse of police resources or something like that.
Do you know? Do you have any idea what he could stand to serve for either of those?
A very long time. I know that there's also a hefty fee. His bond was set at $500,000.
Good.
And I don't think that they've found, but I think that they are still investigating and looking into the guy that placed the call to him as well. And I think that they're also
that sent the message taunting him. Yeah.
Yep. Well, because he was the swatter. He didn't have anything to do with the dispute itself.
Right.
But the guy that contacted him with the address, I think they're also looking to try and find him to get him for something or other.
Interesting.
Yeah, but honestly, I would have tacked on as much as I possibly could.
Second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder, conspiracy, whatever conspiracies you can. I know that there are specific laws and crimes related to using a computer for, committing felonies and crimes and stuff. Honestly, just as many as you can fucking put on him.
I mean, listen, I don't believe in the death penalty. I do believe in the threat of it as a deterrent for certain types of crimes. So if you charge somebody with second-degree murder in a state that has the death penalty, and they could potentially be put up for the death penalty because of calling in, a fucking swatting threat, like what kind of message does that send to every single other person that has ever thought of committing a swatting crime ever?
And Sonia's for child rapist. I feel like that's a different level of.
And Sonia's corrected me. It was charged with involuntary manslaughter. Sorry. Yeah, like he didn't know what was going to happen. Or the potential to happen.
When you swat somebody, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, you don't expect people to get shot when they're being swatted.
But the thing is, the whole point of swatting someone is for the police come in and think
with
there's
guns,
actually
with guns drawn.
Yeah, with guns. Thinking that there's actually a disturbance, obviously, you don't think it's going to happen because nobody thinks that. But when you look at all possible things that could go wrong, why is they could get shot not one of the things that cross your mind?
When you call in and tell the police that A, he shot his father, B, he has the rest of his family held hostage, and C, he's doused the house in gasoline.
Listen, and for all of the people who have come in, saying it's hard it's hard. Tyler Barris, it's hard to hold the cop responsible because they were responding to a potentially dangerous situation. I do understand that, and I'm not saying that I never said what I think that the cop should be charged with. I do listen. I don't blame the cop. I hold him responsible in terms of the way that he was doing his job. That's all. I don't know whether or not this cop should go to jail. I wasn't there. I'm not a detective. I don't investigate crimes. I don't know any of those things. All I know is that when I make a mistake at my job, I'm generally held accountable. And sometimes, if it's bad enough, I'm fired for it. And if that is the case here, if after investigation is done and someone finds that this cop was ridiculously, scared or defensive or, is compromised in being able to do his job, he should lose his job. That's it. That's
agreed. I don't think he should deserve more than the person who called in the call in the first place.
No.
Also, 11 years in prison if he's convicted.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
Fuck that.
Apparently he's sorry now, though. He's not. There was an interview done in jail.
He's sorry he got caught.
Yes, he wishes he could rewind time.
Of course he does. He's in jail now.
Yep. I never intended for anyone to get shot and killed. I just wish I could have rewound somehow and just never done it. He added that he did understand the magnitude of his actions.
This is the guy who's done this multiple times, right?
Yes, more than multiple times.
Yep. He's
what
been
does he
linked
claim
to
to
other
do? I just wanted to
swatting incidents
scare him a little
involving a conviction for making a false bomb threat to ABC 7 in 2015. Linked him to a call made in the city on December 22nd.
Did he definitively say whether or not he was the guy who gave the interview to Drama Alert or not?
I don't think it said in here anywhere, no.
Because if that is, I want to play that guy's quote again.
Oh my God, it's
so that you can
terrible.
Hear it. And I do not know if this is the same person. This is allegedly the person who called in the threat, according to Drama Alert and Keemstar, however you want to believe him. But this was his direct quote after being asked if he regretted what he did.
The argument can be made that the police would have never showed up if I didn't make the call. However, I don't believe that I'm the only guilty party involved in this whole incident, considering I was contacted and almost instructed to SWAT and taunted to SWAT and edges. Of course, I was involved. However, I mean, other people were involved. I mean, yeah, the call was made by me, but as far as the whole incident, you could point the finger at numerous people. You could point the finger at the cop who killed someone. You could point the finger at the guy who made the call. You could point the finger at the person who provided the address saying, oh, look, this is where I live. Go ahead and swat me. If you do, then you're going to go to prison for 5 years. So it's really, in my opinion, debatable.
Okay, if that is the same guy, if that actually is, if that's Tyler Barris on that recording, 11 years is too good for him. 11 years is not enough. That's insane because he has no remorse
whatsoever. He was also quoted as saying that he would continue to swat, quote, dumb kids.
Yep. Don't let him out.
There's so many other ways to scare dumb kids than that. Like,
11 years behind bar, this guy will not learn his lesson.
No, not learn a thing.
More importantly than that, people who see this story won't learn their lesson. That, to me, that's the reason. That's one of the reasons you punish for this, is to deter other people, to put a stop to this stupid foolishness.
And chances are, after he gets out, he'll have the resources to be able to get it expunged from his record.
Jeez.
He'll be able to hold down a job, be able to, re-enter society, and start calling in fake bomb threats again. Cool story, man. Fuck this guy. All right, so.
That's the news.
Thanks for that uplifting story, Robbie.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Nailed it!
If you want to give the show a call, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. If you want to call in on Discord, limitbreakradio.com/Discord is how you can join the Discord server. It's now officially the Let's Be Real Discord server.
Yeah.
So you can hop into the channel, LBR calls, let Kookie know that you're ready to call the show, and we'll take it from there. Do we have our caller? I mean,
did Bri call back?
We've got, we got him on Discord as on our Discord. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's go to Brian. What's up, Brian? Brian. Are you?
This is an attempt at trolling.
He's trying to talk. I see his light blinking, but we don't get any sound.
Brian.
Brian.
Twice now, man.
What you doing here? You're
disappointing us. This foreplay is terrible.
I know.
You got to diddle the butthole.
Oh, well.
Metaphorically speaking.
Too bad. Too bad, Brian. If you want to give us a call, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Soon it will be lbrnetwork.com/Discord that'll take you there.
If you call in, we will let you name one of Nika's children.
What?
Yeah.
How many did I have?
Well, you had one last week, so.
Yeah.
I must have.
At MagFest. More like Orgy Fest.
Yes, at
right?
MagFest.
So let's talk about this deal that went down over the holidays. It was just right before the holidays.
Yep, mm-hmm.
Disney agreeing to buy 20th Century Fox properties.
What was the price on that deal, too? Do you remember?
It was $52 billion. Was the final price tag for all of the
all of Fox.
It's pretty much all of 20th Century Fox. So, I mean, a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people really excited about this.
Well, because the first thing that obviously pops into people's mind is crossovers, right? Specifically, I think the big one is the fact that now the Fantastic Four and X-Men are back under Disney's umbrella.
Yeah, well, the Fantastic Four now have a glimmer of a hope of making a good movie. Maybe. The X-Men as well. And I do think, this is a good time for the X-Men.
Gambit lost its director again.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
I was this is like the 5th or 6th time.
Well, Why does
this
they should put a leash on him. That way they can keep a tab on him.
What is happening?
I don't know. I truthfully do not know. Does not still solve the Sony problem.
No, and Sony is honestly still going to be a problem. I know that they made their Spider-Man deal, and
oh my God, did you see the Venom thing?
I haven't looked. No, every time I see it, I'm like, no, I don't.
There's nothing. There's nothing. They're just talking to him on the set, and there's no preview. There's not even a shot from the fucking. They're just on the set,
just super clickbaity.
Oh yeah. Huge, because they know that they've got nothing for this movie.
Well, and what scares me about the Sony part, and obviously we'll get back to the whole Fox Disney thing in a minute, is the fact that, okay, they let Spider-Man in, and apparently they brokered some deal now because Amy Pascal, is that her name, or the Sony chick, the lady, whatever, was in an interview with Kevin Feige, and basically said, oh yeah, all of our films are Marvel canon now. That's where that famous meme of Kevin looking all like, oh fuck, now I have to deal with this, right? So my fear is, since they let Spider-Man into it, because they're not helping out with all the Spider-Man films. I think they're helping out with obviously the first one, the second, the third. Then it all just goes back into Sony's control. That they're basically at that point just gonna ruin everything like Sony does.
Man, I think that it's probably a pretty good possibility, but clearly Disney is waiting in the wings to be able to acquire those properties.
Oh, if they get a chance,
they're going to take it. They're going to take it. They'll work with them to be able to get them as a part of, fucking the MCU,
the Avengers. Yeah.
But I officially have no hope for this Venom movie now.
No, I didn't from the beginning when they said that it was going to be Venom solo, and then when they said, oh, and you know what, Carnage is going to be in it too.
Stop it.
Great.
Stop it. With no connection to the Spider-Man movies at all.
Well, you don't need Spider-Man for Venom.
Maybe they'll put Miles Morales in it.
Stop it. Stop it. Who do you? What's the anti? I mean, if
Venom's the good guy, Venom's just straight up going to be an anti-hero, just right out the gate. Eddie Brock, maybe he does like some petty crime stuff, but then when he sees Carnage, he's going to realize, oh, you know what? I need to be the hero now because he's way worse than I am. And he probably created him somehow, right? He had some symbiote sex and birthed this thing out. And now he has to stop it.
Do we get to watch the symbiote
There's
sex?
the movie. There's the movie.
Do we get to watch the sex?
Go watch literally any alien anime.
There you go.
All right.
They had said which book it's supposed to be based off of, and it's not a book that I'm familiar with. But then again,
they did actually base it off of something.
I dropped off after Venom and Punisher had a crossover. But yeah, no, I don't see that going well. But okay, so yes, Disney acquired all of 20th Century Fox except for the TV stations and the news network.
But they have all the properties associated
pretty much, yeah. So The Simpsons, Futurama, King of the Hill, all of those animated things.
Firefly.
And the thing is that, again, most people have been saying that this is a really good thing. What do you think of it, Robbie?
All right, so obviously there are a few different ways to look at this, and I know the way that you're going to tackle this is sort of from like the business end and whether or not this is a monopoly. For me, I'm actually not really all that excited about the potential of an X-Men crossover because the way to do it is how they did it with Spider-Man, right? You completely axe off everything else and you start fresh with it. And they showed that they can do that extremely well. But we have so many X-Men properties that are already in production right now that's still in the middle of that canon. You can't really just chop it off, and you're not going to go and just suddenly cancel all those things. So
no, you could, but you could, I mean, since they are midway through production, you could direct it to go somewhere.
You could, especially with the Infinity War coming up. You could, even if you tried to like loop in some type of like Secret Wars-esque storyline.
Or they could just kill all the projects.
I don't see them doing that.
They could put the brakes on everything.
They're literally in the middle of filming stuff, though.
Of the one
Dark Phoenix,
the
New
Dark
Mutants.
Phoenix.
New Mutants is another one that they're doing.
New Mutants is a TV show, though, isn't it?
The one with Macy Williams?
I thought it was.
I thought that was a movie.
No, I don't know.
I thought that was a TV show.
I thought that was a series.
Oh, I'm sure the.
I mean, they've also got what is it? The Gifted. That's sort of a loosely connected X-Men property.
Yep.
They've got Legion out there that needs a second season. So I mean, some of the stuff they may wrap up, but I think
it's kind of really messy.
But they own it now. So
that's true.
Do they roll it into the MCU?
Here's the thing.
Do they roll X-Men into
They don't need, but here's the thing. They don't need to. All right, back when people thought like there's no way the X-Men's ever going to cross with the Avengers because those properties are separate and Fox is never going to let go of them, what was always said was that you don't need those crossovers because there's so many stories to be had with just the X-Men or with just the Avengers that you have so much to explore that you don't have to worry about crossing them over because there's so many stories and properties that you can take from. There's no need to, and it's kind of, I feel like now that they're like, oh yeah, it's going to happen now, you are needlessly overcomplicating, and now we really do run the risk of, I think, a superhero overload.
I think if we were going to hit superhero overload, we would have hit it.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of think we're approaching peak superhero, but yeah, no, I think we would have hit it.
Now,
but the thing is, though, okay, the X-Men has their fans and the MCU has their fans, but like you can really kind of glom these two together now by working them into the MCU. There's precedence for it. There's more than enough material to be able to base those crossovers off of. You had mentioned Secret Wars. I can imagine that, after we finish up, what are we in, phase 3?
Yes.
Okay, so after we finish up phase 3, we move into phase 4. You can still execute every step of phase 4 and phase 5 be building towards a Secret Wars that rolls in the X-Men canon a little bit more meaningfully. But I do think at some point, because the X-Men franchise specifically has really tried to carry on the canon of the franchise going all the way back to that very first film with Patrick Stewart and
X1.
Yeah, the very first X-Men film, because they still consider that a core part of the canon. I think that at some point they do have to drop that, and they've got to do a full reboot.
I agree with that.
I also agree. I think, and honestly,
how many reboots is that now?
Well, technically
none. That would be the first one because they're still carrying on the canon.
Yes. What most people consider the quote-unquote reboot is a Future Past, which didn't actually reboot the series. It reset the timeline in canon, though.
Right. Because both of those Xaviers exist.
Yes.
And they've had conversations, right? Like,
yep.
I don't
yeah, something. Yeah. It's honestly, the one thing that I think X-Men does right is that it is just as convoluted as the comics is.
That is true.
You guys got that right on the nose. Congratulations.
That is true.
Is this X point then?
Stop it.
Kind of, yeah.
Stop it. But they do need to figure out a way to work, whether they do carry on that canon or not, and I personally think that they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. They do have to figure out a way to work it into the greater MCU.
Really quick, Ryoku is saying the main worry that I heard from those that don't like the merger is that they feel that movies that like Deadpool and Logan will be made in favor of PG-13 schlock. Disney has actually came out and said that they do plan on having a secondary or basically another movie studio or branding or whatever that is specifically going to be tackling their R-rated movies, and they do recognize that there is value in those.
Yeah, that's the thing, Ryoku, is that you've got to remember that
they make money.
Disney likes money. And Deadpool printed fucking money. So, and I understand that because, Disney has gone through periods as a company where they've been, varying degrees of more liberal or more conservative with the type of content that they're projecting. And right now, it does seem to be much more liberal. They take much more they take many more chances than a lot of other media companies. And that's kind of what sets them apart. That's one of the reasons that, the MCU is so good. That's one of the reasons that the Star Wars franchise right now is so good. Things like Rogue One. And you got to remember that's coming out of Disney. That
was dark.
Every fucking character dies.
Spoilers.
Everyone dies.
If you've seen A New Hope, you know this.
Anakin
they
doesn't
don't
die.
exist in that movie.
Exactly.
Anakin doesn't die.
Eventually.
But the thing is that, that is an ending that Disney as a company, when you think of Disney, you're like, yeah, that ending would never work.
And they had written and I think also shot a quote-unquote happy ending, but went with that one.
Yeah. And that's so Disney does make some good decisions. They do take some chances. And of course, they make excellent movies. They make excellent TV shows. They are, in a lot of ways, I mean, they are the biggest media company on the planet now, for sure, and they were even before that. Chris, how do you feel about the merger? Do you feel any kind of way? Do you care at all?
I mean, based on my very plebeian viewpoint, I think it's a good idea because now I can have X-Men in my MCU. The downside is now that there's a potential for Fantastic Four in the MCU as well.
Well, but why would that be a bad thing?
Because the Fantastic Four are dumb.
Just as a
collective?
Like, did you ever like the comics or anything?
No, they're really dumb.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that like the Fantastic Four usually played pretty key roles in a lot of these, like storylines that come to a nexus point. I mean, in the comics for Infinity War, like Silver Surfer plays a huge role. Mr. Fantastic plays a huge role. So, I mean, those elements are going to be, of course, stripped out for the current version of Infinity War. But, future storylines that seek to bring all of the MCU together, I think it's going to be interesting to have them at play. I don't think that I'd ever see a Fantastic Four movie, though.
You don't think?
If
I'm not that interested
in the MCU, I would see it because I would like to see everything that's part of it.
Okay, well, Nika, how do you feel about the merger?
I mean, that's what I feel. I think nothing but good can come from it in terms of me, who's really only a fan of the MCU. I never read most of the comics for any of these, but I'm a really big fan of the film cinematic universe. So for me, when I look at it, I just think, cool. That's my only opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because, as long as the MCU keeps churning out good movies, then I'm sure I'm going to be happy with the merger overall.
That's me too.
I would love to have a good X-Men movie because, back before the MCU and Iron Man and all this stuff, X-Men was my favorite comic book superhero team by far.
Mine too.
And
see, I loved the cartoon growing up as a kid too, and loved X-Men. But because there's been so many random ass movies that aren't connected to the MCU, I haven't really seen them.
I didn't keep up either.
And I think if they put X-Men in the MCU, I'll start seeing it.
Who would want to sit through X-Men Origins Wolverine? That's an objectively awful movie.
Bad.
Or even The Wolverine. That was also a really bad movie.
I still haven't even seen Logan.
You should.
Logan's
it's actually
a good one.
I heard it's really good.
Yeah.
It is a comic book movie, but it is a tonally slightly darker.
But it involves Wolverine, and I don't like Wolverine at all. He is so overhyped.
He is.
He is, absolutely. But it's still really good.
Still disappointed about the Gambit movie, but I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed, but not surprised.
By the time it comes out, maybe,
It's never coming out. What are you talking about? You know it's never coming out. You know it's never going to.
Well, if they would just put a GPS tracker on the director so they could find him.
5 different directors.
Well, yeah, that to me says the whole thing.
Fine. Honestly,
GPS.
At this point, I'm more curious about what they're doing that these directors keep leaving.
That's, I think, a pretty good question. I just want to point out that, the Super Mario Brothers movie had one set of directors, and it turned out a pile of shit. So.
That movie was amazing!
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
By that logic, every movie has one director or more than one director. So all positive shit.
But can you name a movie that has had multiple directors that has been good?
I can't name a movie that has had multiple directors.
He can't name a director.
William Spielberg?
Shakespeare?
Did you just almost say William Spickberg? Because that's one of the more racist things you've ever said. I don't know.
It's not racist if you don't have any intention behind it.
I don't know if it's more racist towards Mexicans or Jewish people.
Oh my gosh. You were going to say William Shakespeare?
No, I wanted to say Spielberg.
But you were going to say William Shakespeare.
I don't know how I got
And it came out as almost William Spickberg. What the fuck is that?
There is so
How does that happen?
There is so much wrong with everything about you. Just every ounce of your being is just so stupid.
Well, listen, we want to hear from you. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord if you want to join us on Discord. We really do want to know whether you think the 20th Century Fox and Disney merger is a good idea. I don't think it's a very good idea.
I'm actually curious as to this side, because when I think of monopolies, I usually think of like back in the 90s, the Microsoft monopoly that was broken up, right? But when it comes to movies, I mean, sure, they own a lot of rights to movies, but how does that necessarily create a monopoly when other companies can just make more movies?
Well, because of the funding attached to it. Because if you've got 20th Century Fox that has now just been rolled into Disney, you've got one less seriously deep-pocketed production company that you can go and pitch an idea to. And the problem when you have less ownership in media is that the people who are in control of saying yes and no, those, you know, the gatekeepers of taste and media and things like that, you know, there become less and less of them. And where there were 15 and you could get a wide range of different media produced, now it's down to 5. And now it's been cut from 5 to 4. And yes, that does create an opportunity for more subversive, you know, people who want to make movies or television or media. It gives them an opportunity to be able to find an audience, because when an audience isn't being served, they will go and seek out the content that they're looking for. However, it's going to have to be, have to be very creative once again. It's going to be very low budget. It's going to be very shoestring, which is the way that a lot of early media was done. A lot of, you think of the early days of
The Room.
The Room was made in like 2006. Like that was made shockingly recently.
Very grassroots.
No, but I'm talking like a show like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Okay, this was a show that started in 1988 on a public access channel, and they did pretty much what we did with Final Encountercast, where they took some of their best segments and they sent it off to the Comedy Channel, which would end up becoming Comedy Central, and saying, hey, we've got this idea, why don't you try picking it up? And they did. And so they instantly got an injection of money. They were able to make better sets, not great sets, mind you, but better sets, and they were able to do that not by moving their entire pickup and move their entire production company to Hollywood, as would have been the assumption and part of the deal if they had done it now, or if they had done it 10 years ago. They did it in 1988, where cable companies were pretty much just trying to figure out how they were going to stay on the air for 24 hours. So the comedy channel looked at that and was like, well, it's funny and it eats up 2 hours. Let's do it. And they signed them, and they kept renewing their deal for 7 seasons. And so that's how you get a show like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Restriction breeds creativity.
Being on Comedy Central for 7 seasons, and then having enough pull after they get canceled to jump over to Sci-Fi and then have a reboot last year. And that would have never happened. That would have stayed as a
PBS show,
yes,
right?
or public access.
Yeah,
it would have stayed a public access show, because if they had been petitioning Disney or at the time 20th Century Fox or any of these larger companies, those companies would have come in and said, yeah, but we need you to change this, 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 and this, which they found out when they went and they actually made a major motion picture. Mystery Science Theater 3000 has an actual movie that was in movie theaters.
Wow,
did you know that?
I did not know that.
Did you also know that its runtime is shorter than every single Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode that was ever made?
Oh, wow.
The movie is shorter than every episode.
That's funny.
Including when you cut out the commercials that they ever fucking made.
Okay, basically what this comes down to is I'm going to relate it to another story, which is the story of Sylvester Stallone and Rocky.
Sure.
Wrote it himself, wanted to be in it. Everywhere that he took it was like, that is a great movie. We want to make it, but we don't want you to star in it.
Right.
And he's like, well, then you're not going to make it. And he kept going on until he found someone who wanted to do it.
Exactly.
Because of this, if he were to try to do it nowadays, there are less people for him to ask, and there is a chance that eventually he might just finally break down and either A, give up, or B, be like, fine, take my movie, do what you want with it.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, fortunately, there are way more tools for filmmaking today than there were back 20 years ago. You needed way more access to funding to be able to execute an idea, and you needed access to money and marketing to be able to distribute it. You don't need those things today.
So this could also potentially maybe breathe more life into the indie sort of industry as well, you think?
You know, how many indie movies are coming out these days? Compared to 10 years ago, not that many, because all of these
or they're at least not getting the coverage that they should.
Well, a lot of these major studios had indie movie divisions that would help fund these things that have since folded or have become extremely conservative with the types of movies that they produce.
That's fair.
Where the creativity is actually going is into YouTube. Where the creativity is actually going is into digitally distributed spaces, and that's where you get people's art films that exist on Vimeo and that you can buy on Amazon, whatever, for $2.99. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that seems to be much more of the distribution method. And now you've got creators whose entire body of work has existed on Netflix, and it is as valid as having a body of work that has existed on a major network. Okay? And I understand, like, I do understand that a company like Netflix is sort of seen in the same light as a company like Disney because they fund projects. But Netflix had to, spend 10 years of shipping fucking DVDs out to people to be able to make enough money to start making their own content. You understand that that is a way more complicated long-term thing that you've got to work out. And there's a lot, dude, there's so many moving pieces there.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a creative person and you don't have an in with Netflix, or you don't have an in with Hulu, or you don't have an in with these major companies, what are you to do? Well, fortunately, there is still YouTube.
GoFundMe.
And fortunately, there is still ways to get your work seen. I just don't know that having the people control the purse strings, having one less of those people in the mix is necessarily a good thing.
All right, I understand that. Now, here's another line of thinking that I'm curious if you thought of, or what your opinions on it are. So, one of the big, maybe not big, but one of the controversies that kind of arose with the most recent Star Wars film was that Disney was requiring that if you show the film, you have to show it for a minimum of, what was it, like 8 weeks or something like that?
Okay.
And there's a lot of smaller, like, sort of mom and pops theaters, that maybe only have 1 or 2 screens that weren't able to show it, because if they try and show a movie for 8 weeks, everyone in the town's seen it by week 2.
Yeah, and I know exactly what that's like. When I went out to Twin Peaks Fest, that was in a very, very small town in Washington that had a movie theater, and it was a single screen movie theater, and we had gone there to go see a screening of Wild at Heart, but looking at the
weird fucking movie.
Weird movie. Very weird movie. But when you looked at the marquee, the only other things that were playing, it was like that, what was that, Jaden Smith space movie that was out at the time?
Or something like that?
I don't fucking remember. Jeez. But you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, but if this single screen theater signed an 8-week contract for Star Wars, literally everyone in the town has seen it after 2 weeks.
Yeah, no.
Anyone who's going to see it has already seen it, and now you're just screening the film to empty theaters.
And so so this is where I see, honestly, one of the biggest problems happening, because going forward now, all right, you want to show Avengers? 8 weeks. You want to show the new X-Men movie? 8 weeks. Like, you could put really small theaters like that out of business so quickly.
Absolutely.
Because either A, you're right, they're not showing the movie to anyone, or they have to try and rely solely on showing either cult films or classics.
And it's not, that's not a bad thing for a theater that has a lot of good traditional business. Like, I am much more likely to go see, like a cult movie at a movie theater than I am to go see the latest Star Wars film.
That's fair. But I also think, like, there are even big chains right now, like here in Michigan, one of the I think more well-known chains is the Imagine Theater chain, right? Even they have to do stuff like, showing, the classics like Casablanca and stuff like that, just to try and, I think, make ends meet. And I don't think by any means failing or anything. So just imagine what some of these one-screen places are doing.
Yeah, but they have 17 different fucking screens, and they can still, they can sign a contract like that, be able to fulfill it, but still be able to do all that indie bullshit that you need to. Frankly, if you're a theater owner, you need to be doing that stuff to be able to bring people in.
When they force you to play it for 8 weeks, though, is there any kind of requirement as to how many times per day? Because if you just play it one time per day,
I'm sure there is.
Spend the rest of the day playing other shit that's going to make you money.
That's kind of a good point. That's kind of a good point. I mean, if you only have one screen and you've got to figure out how to do it for 8 weeks, a single screening at different times of the day, like on Monday it's in the
whose work hours are different, so you're still trying to make some money off that, but then playing at like the peak times after like 2 weeks, switching the peak times to something else.
Yeah, well, but I think it's the 8-week duration that is the problem, because, if you've only got a population in your town of a couple of thousand, there's no one who doesn't want to go see the latest Star Wars movie. So like once you hit week 3, who else is going to be going to go see that? You're literally still, even if you're showing it at different times, you're still showing it to mostly empty theaters, that if you have the ability to entertain more people, you should take it, or you probably need to take it if you're a single screen theater in this day and age.
Here's another one of the stipulations that looking it up now is an even bigger concern, that Disney also required that any theaters that show The Last Jedi must hand over 65% of ticket sale revenue to them, which is the largest amount basically that's ever been demanded, apparently.
Fuck that. If I was an indie theater, I'd bail.
And that's why, a lot of small independent theaters just decided not to show it, and it was 4 weeks duration.
4 weeks. Okay, that's not bad.
At least
that's not
4
terrible.
weeks.
That's not terrible. 4 weeks is actually fairly reasonable. 65% is a lot, though.
Oh, and they were charging an additional 5%, which means that Disney takes 70% of the sales.
But then, we've also heard about this streaming platform that Disney has been working on behind the scenes, and now they just acquired a large chunk, most of the back catalog, to 20th Century Fox.
And doesn't it give a controlling stake in Hulu as well?
Yeah, which means that now they've, I think, now got a controlling stake in Hulu as well, since they control a lot of that content. I think Hulu may see the legs chopped out from under it in the next couple of months.
At that point, why don't you just try and repurpose Hulu into your Disney streaming service or whatever?
I don't know. I think probably to push subscriptions over to you, because the thing is that Hulu is a joint venture between 20th Century Fox and all of the, ABC, NBC.
So you play the long game and you just kill it so that in the longer timeline, you're getting more of the money.
I mean, well, because Disney owned ABC.
Right.
So they already had a seat at that table, which means I think they now have a bigger seat at the table.
Oh, yes.
Which means that if they want to push people towards their platform and get a larger cut of the money and not have to do revenue shares with NBC, then bye-bye. We're just going to take all of our content with us over here.
You fucking mouse.
And now what are you left with? You're left with Hulu originals, some sparse cable channels that upload their content late. You know what I mean? It's just, I think it really... You
got those esports shows.
Have you tried to watch any of those?
Nope. I might do that tonight, though, because remember, I didn't realize that I still had your login info. So now that I do, I think I'm going to...
We may need to pull those out and talk about those this week on
Check I like that idea.
It may not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
They're not good.
That's what I hear.
Well, I mean, at least the one that I watched was not good, and I mean, maybe it's because I just expect more of someone like Jessica Chobot, and she was not good at hosting.
Oh.
It was, you know what it is? It's like when you take someone who's, fairly decent host on, the internet or something, and then you throw them in front of network TV cameras.
And they kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
Or you realize,
Like I've been, you've been playing small, you've been playing small ball, and now you're in the big leagues.
That happened when I went to try and watch Evo after watching the casters at the World Cup for Overwatch in the preseason, now in the normal season. Then when I go and watch the FGC, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to take a while for the ESL to be able to get their content together. I mean, it's a good start. It's a good start. I just, I feel like it's not authentic. That's what it really feels like to me, is that it just doesn't feel authentic. If anyone wants to call in, Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764 to talk about the Disney and 20th Century Fox merger. I'd love to hear from you. I mean, do you agree with Robbie and Nika and Chris that this is probably a pretty good thing, or are you kind of worried about it? Because I think that the less voices we have in media, the less, and by voices, I mean money. I mean, people who are allowing creative people who come to them with a vision to pursue their vision. Because, and I saw a couple of people mention it in the chat. What about crowdfunding? Well, crowdfunding is an unstable source of income.
There's as many horror stories, if not more, than there are success stories.
Absolutely. And I mean, sometimes movie studios can be a little bit unstable as well, but they are more stable. There's been an industry made out of this for 50 years, or way more than 50. Way more than 50 years. I can't remember when the studio system started, but I mean, as long as they've been making movies, this has been an industry. It's been made into an industry. And so, there are protections for creative people, or at least, like if you have a script that you're trying to get optioned, you can get paid for that script, right? Like you take it to the movie industry and you're able to eat off of that script. If you've got to execute the vision yourself, I mean, listen, I understand that, and I will preach the DIY ethic. I believe in it. I'm sitting in a studio in my second bedroom. That's how much I fucking believe in it. But like, sometimes you need a bigger company to be able to come in and allow you to achieve your vision. I mean, no crowd-funded movie can raise, like what's an average movie budget these days? Like if you wanted to make a huge, crazy blockbuster film, but it was also avant-garde, and it was also taking risks, right? Like what does that take? Like 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 60 million dollar budgets? Can you crowdfund that shit? Can you?
No. I mean, how much even Deadpool, which was considered a low budget, was still, gosh, I had to look it up, but I mean, it wasn't something I think you could easily crowdfund. I
mean, I think the Mario Brothers movie was like $60 million.
What?
Yeah.
Way back then?
Yeah. So if you've got a vision that it's going to take
$58 million for the Deadpool movie.
Okay. That's a low budget film.
$48 million for a Mario Brothers movie.
I was just about to look it up.
48.
Wow.
$48 million.
Wow.
And by the way, it made like, I think 20 million at the box office. That's how bad it did. But like, yeah, dude, I don't see how less opportunities and less people, controlling the purse strings, more gatekeepers is a good thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I experienced this in my own job. If you've got a good idea, I've got, in where I work, I've got 3 people I work with that I can ask to try to get it on the air. If they say no, it's then going around and shopping it to other places, which that's not even a thing. Like, the way that the radio industry works is
nobody else does that.
You get hired to do a thing.
Yeah.
Like, people don't make concepts and then shop it around. They make demo tapes of themselves and they shop themselves around as a personality.
And then someone says, "Oh, you do really well on our country station," and you die a little inside.
Exactly. People don't get to create a vision and execute it. Like, that's actually pretty unique about Checkpoint Radio, is that the formation of Checkpoint Radio is much more like a podcast than it is a radio show. Its execution is way more like a podcast than it is a radio show, to be honest.
Well, I mean, even when you look at other traditional types of media, like TV, take Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? They made a pilot, then sent it to someone who said, "Okay, yeah, we want you to make more of that. Let's enter into a deal." The fact that we still get to own Checkpoint is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, we retain ownership, we retain creative control. No one above the people who we've directly partnered with to give us input on our content. No one else has input on what the fuck we do. I don't think anyone cares what we do.
No, not so long as we get them listeners.
It's sort of like
abide by FCC regulations.
What's that fucking movie where the metalheads take over the radio station? It's the Adam Sandler movie. It's got it's Adam Sandler, Brendan Fraser, and I can't remember who the third guy in it is. But it's a great movie. They're like, we could record Pip farting on a snare drum.
Whoa, Adam Sandler. You said it's a great movie.
It's one of the only good Adam Sandler movies. It was long before.
Fraser,
no. Adam Sandler didn't make it. He was just in it. Okay. So
Airheads.
Yes, Airheads. That's it. Yep.
Never heard of that before.
It's a great fucking movie. Great fucking movie. But yeah, we could record Pip farting on a snare drum and it'll sell. You know what I mean? Like that. It's the same shit. Like there are very little expectations. We could record us farting into microphones for 2 hours if we so chose and send it out. And until it's on the air, no one says boo.
Well, Kevin might.
I mean, we get to choose the music. We get to choose what we talk about. There's no one there who is acting as a gatekeeper.
We have boss.
We have people who are basically just opening the doors to different radio stations for us. And then we get to sit down every week in this room and talk about whatever the shit we want to talk about.
Yeah. Any other stories or instances I've heard of that are similar to ours, that people in our shoes have to pay the radio stations to air their stuff, which is probably why people think that we pay for it.
Right. And
we don't, because we have good stuff.
Well, and it's not like we're unique. We're not unique. We are, in the syndicated radio game, and there's a lot of people who do that. There are, syndicated radio shows for NASCAR and for butt fucking and for.
Wait, what?
No, I'm sorry, that's not true. But there's all kinds of syndicated programming that exists out there, and we're not unique in that regard. But where we come from and the stuff that we talk about is fairly unique, and the way that the show is being received is also very unique as well. And so but again, the less people that you have out there saying yes to things or opening up the purse strings and allowing to do that. By the way, we're not funded. Checkpoint Radio is not a funded show. It's only funded by your generosity. That's it. We get some very small ad revenues back, but outside of that ad revenue, we don't see a whole lot of money from Checkpoint because we need to be able to broker sponsorship deals.
Yep. So you guys still give us way more than the ads do.
Yeah. So when it comes to having that DIY work ethic, I mean, you got to understand that Checkpoint is very much in that DIY mode. The only reason that we're able to do the show is because we don't have to pay a studio fee. It doesn't cost us money every week to do the show, right?
Right.
So the overhead is low enough that we can still continue to do it and make it work. But again, if you're not able to do that, and especially if you're not able to do that as a television product or a movie, how does a movie get made with fucking no overhead?
It doesn't.
I mean, on your phone? Yeah, it does. It does. It does. People do very creative stuff with zero budget. And a lot of times it ends up on, I know it's dead now, but Vine or YouTube or Vimeo. And that stuff is valid, and it can lead to a career.
You get the Blair Witch product.
If you know what to do. Even the Blair Witch Project was a couple $1 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Come on.
The first? Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty low budget.
Look it up. I may be wrong, but I think it was at least over $1 million. I think it was at least over $1 million. But again, you need people who are open to different ideas, and that's the thing, is that we all have our own biases. I'm not saying that
$60,000.
$60,000. That's it.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I knew it was.
That's pretty impressive. Okay, all right, I take that back. I mean, it made so much fucking money, though.
$248.6 million.
Jesus. What a wow. But so it does, make for a creative environment, except a lot of that creativity is not being funded. It's being, pulled off as Slender Man projects. And you know what I mean? And again, that can have a way of getting you into the industry, but the way that it used to be is that, there was someone who would pay you to make a movie, and you would make one, and then you'd be able to make more. And if you have a full vision like that, it's way harder now to be able to be put in a position where you can execute it. What is much more common is that someone who has that kind of ambition is taken and put in as a cog on other projects, where they're not able to actualize their own vision, but they're able to help on projects that are not theirs. And it's fine. It'll make you a fine living. But if you have that creative drive in you to see something great get made, I mean, a dude like Sam Raimi in the current movie industry would probably only ever work as a special effects artist ever, or maybe as a cameraman or a cameraman supervisor. But
that's terrible.
You know what I mean? Like you know, those early Evil Dead films were so subversive that a lot of major studios wouldn't touch him. He had to go to minor studios, and they had enough money to be able to pull it off. I don't think that happens in minor studios that much anymore.
No, if it does, not very often.
And those minor studios can't exist. Like, you know, fucking Trauma. Have you ever watched a Trauma film?
Nope.
The Toxic Avenger. It was like a
heard of, never watched.
I mean, like it was like a 90s thing that you know, Trauma was like this huge cheesy, like their bit was to make cheesy movies, purposefully cheesy movies. That kind of shit would not get made.
Well, I mean, even if you look at it, and specifically, it's always Disney and like Marvel that's coming to mind. But even a lot of your directors that you're naming, like Sam Raimi, James Gunn, that made a lot of those, you know, lower budget type stuff, are now your big name like AAA directors.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I'm sure that there is some kid who's working on a movie set as a key grip that has that brilliant vision in his head, that creative vision in his head, that is, you know, looking to shop a script or a project that is continually being told no because, you know, people who supposedly are much smarter than him but really just have more money than him can't realize or see his vision. And that, I think, is a shame. That I do think is a shame, because there are, I think, quantifiably less creative movies that come out now.
I agree. Which is why people, I think, one of the reasons why people think Disney getting Fox is such a huge deal. It's just like, oh, all those rights now. Yeah. Well, make new movies.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for Final Encountercast this week. I want to thank everyone watching. It's been a fun week, and also, I mean, I got to do a pretty cool thing yesterday. I got to go out to the North American Conference on Video Game Music, and check that out and see some very fascinating discussions. That was very, very cool. So maybe I'll share some stories from that on another episode. But yeah, that was very, very fun. And thank you to I believe his name's Matt, who brought me out for that. So thank you very much for that. It was very cool being able to sit in on a lot of those lectures. So all right, that's going to do it here for Final Encountercast this week. I want to thank again everyone watching on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we've got the Checkpoint Radio podcast. It may be a little janky because Skuro doesn't know how to do his goddamn job. So we're going to get that running as quickly as possible, but stick around because the Checkpoint Radio podcast is coming up next live. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure that you head on over to our website, checkpointradio.com, finalencountercast.com, and limitbreakradio.com. Subscribe to all of the podcasts. That's going to do it. I want to thank my crew, the Eater of Foods, Chris, Robbie, and Nika. My name's Nate. Keep listening. Final Encountercast is a production of finalencountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Nate Bender, Callie Sloan, and Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music is provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.